Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Better Than Food Book Reviews. I'm your host, Clifford Lee Sargent, and I have already had far too much caffeine. But it's a beautiful morning here in Los Angeles. It's good to see you. Let's talk about some books. There is a deeply uncomfortable feeling that sinks into me when I read passages from Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. The feeling that if you changed the pop culture references in the book, if you were reading instead of the lyrics of Joan Jett, maybe the lyrics of who's somebody, I don't know, like Chelsea Wolfe or something. Not that she's comparable, but that one could tell you that the novel was published in June, and you wouldn't bat a lash. The novel was actually published in 1985. This culture of impatience, of apathy and indecision and immediate gratification and whatever terms you'd like to apply to it mirrors the they're the same ball and chain terms that are clinging on to the millennials who I fall under, I think. But I will admit that the music that is referenced in the book is far better. Bret Easton Ellis is an American author from Los Angeles whose novels possess a very iconic flavor of witty black satire. Less Than Zero was published in 1985 when Bret had matured to the respectably seasoned age of 21. He was henceforth thrown into the maelstrom of New York City in the mid to late 80s, which unsurprisingly informed his most popular novel, American Psycho. So in this debut, which is a very quick read by the way, Clay, our very young and wealthy protagonist, comes home for a Christmas break from college to see his family and friends in Los Angeles. One of the first striking things you'll notice about Less Than Zero is the understated writing style, wherein Clay in the first person views and describes these acts of violence, of cruelty, of depravity, of moral abandonment in a manner that is so detached and distanced. The prose feels a little bit like Hemingway, but then the voice in my head is this very monotone, victim of severe trauma. Clay, despite being immersed in this nightmarish ocean of mundane horror, is nevertheless deeply affected by the things he witnesses. He is very sensitive to the actions taking place. He's still got this sense of ethics. You get the impression that while he's wading through this jungle of shit, he's still trying to find things of substance or value or real love in a culture that has all but lost it. Trying to find out what is actually important to him in a culture that heralds superficial values to such excess that nauseating doesn't even begin to describe. For all of the excess, of course, the irony is that it produces next to nil. Nobody is impressed with themselves or with anybody else. This is a culture of people who have imploded, and what remains of each person is a robotic husk snorting coke, talking shit, and spending money. This is the world that Clay walks back into with his ex-girlfriend, with his friends who have turned into drug-addicted hustlers and prostitutes. And, it sounds like I'm exaggerating, but it's really not a far cry from the truth. What happened then and what's happening right now. This is the effective element of Less Than Zero. The acts are disgusting and shocking, certainly, but the real power of the novel comes from the fact that the character is shutting down emotionally, as this defense or maybe like a survival mechanism. He's shutting down like the others around him who have already shut down, who have already been used up before they were even let loose. They're not even fully mentally or physically developed, but they've seen it all and far more than anybody should ever hope to see. They've gone past the limits in a city where the barriers seem to have completely dissolved, and anything goes, and the floor in this case is also a wall, wherein you can break through it and go down even further. Rock bottom isn't the end. Less than zero, right? I cut myself 2 lines of the coke I bought from Rip last night and do them and feel better. I'm still wearing my jockey shorts as I walk downstairs. Even though it's 11, I don't think anyone is up yet, and I notice that my mother's door is closed, probably locked. I walk outside and dive into the pool and do 20 quick laps and then get out, towel myself dry as I walk into the kitchen. Take an orange from the refrigerator and peel it as I walk upstairs. I eat the orange before I get into the shower and realize that I don't have time for the weights. Then I go into my room and turn on MTV really loud and cut myself another line and then drive to meet my father for lunch. I don't like driving down Wilshire during lunch hour. There always seems to be too many cars and old people and maids waiting for buses, and I end up looking away and smoking too much and turning the radio up to full volume. Right now, nothing is moving even though the lights are green. As I wait in the car, I look at the people in the cars next to mine. Whenever I'm on Wilshire on Sunset during lunch hour, I try to make eye contact with the driver of the car next to mine, stuck in traffic. When this doesn't happen, and it usually doesn't, I put my sunglasses back on and slowly move the car forward. As I pull onto Sunset, I pass the billboard I saw this morning that read, "Disappear Here." And I look away and kind of try to get it out of my mind. It's like disgustingly enviable because of its simplicity. It's just, many people have tried to do this. You've met these people before, right? You've gone to their parties and you've ridden in their cars with them and you've watched them check their cell phones every 30 seconds as they tell you their hopes and dreams as they light up an American Spirit light and scratch the heads of their dyed hair, complaining about their dealer or the overpriced restaurant that they just went to, or the band, or tell you which celebrities they're hanging out with, or how fucked up they got last weekend, or how fucked up they're about to get. Nothing. It would seem that nothing, and I mean less than zero, has changed. Right? It would seem. Except the internet, where now people can bitch about books on YouTube. There's an interview with David Foster Wallace, and I'm not going to be long, I swear. I'm not going to kick the dead horse. I'm not going to fling shit. Where he is bashing American Psycho. And he says, really good fiction could have as dark a worldview as it wished, but it'd find a way both to depict this world and to illuminate the possibilities for being alive and human in it. And this, I believe, may be what aggravates many people about Ellis's fictional characters. Because they are, in essence, hopeless. They have lost any and all sense of hope. And I love that. I love that because, and maybe this is a little bit dramatic, but because after all, American Psycho is satire and it is funny. I mean, I wouldn't say it's Blazing Saddles, but it forces you to look at a world without hope, right? And to deal with that as a human being, whom I assume is of relatively sound mind and reasonably mature. And it forces you to confront that which is most difficult to confront. It mirrors the ugliness and the vapidity about a culture you very well may be immersed in. And when you're confronted with that, when you realize just how low you have sunk or how much you have bought into the whole scheme, that is the point of no return, and now you have a decision to make. Do you take 3 shots of Novocaine and drift in the Hollywood swimming pool of dead souls? Or do you actually change? I'm not saying everybody is as completely jaded as the people in Less Than Zero. Far from it. But, you have this kind of... there are definitely elements. It's not easy to stare down reality. It's threatening. You stare into the abyss and the abyss says, "Hey, you want some of this? I hate cocaine. I just really like the way it smells." Yeah, reality is not a pretty thing to look at. Or it is. Or it isn't. It'll get better, and then it'll get worse. You'll be alive, and then you'll be dead. You can guarantee both of those. What you cannot guarantee is whether or not you have the courage to stare that truth in the face and determine for yourself where you stand with it. I don't think any of us will fully be able to step outside, of course, and see how bad we've gotten in our narcissism or our callousness or our hollow pride or jaded, cynical loneliness. But I think that if you have authors like Ellis making an effort to really truly depict loneliness and tragedy in a brutally honest manner, then you may have a very beautiful moment wherein those who felt like they were really the only ones, which is what it feels like when you've gone to those kind of depths, suddenly realized that many more people were feeling the exact same thing. Thus, by depicting a culture of isolated individuals, of annihilated nihilists, all of a sudden you have a community that reacted to the book because there was some sort of intensity that, if it was not, at least felt like the truth. And then you have a dialogue and communication and intimacy, which, far from polarizing or ostracizing or intimidating people, instead brings them together. Of course there's beauty in the world. There's beauty in darkness. There's beauty in evil. Of course there are plenty of reasons to have hope or faith for many individuals. But if that's what you're looking for, then go read Harry fucking Potter. You know? Less than zero. Better than food. Better than Coke. Please follow the link below to Amazon to purchase the book. Channel gets a little kickback if you do. I really appreciate it. Subscribe if you have not already. Good to see you. And always remember what John Waters said. If you go home with somebody and they have a whole bunch of Coke, man, it's up to you. But if they don't have any books, do not fuck them. I will see you guys next week. Subscribe if you have not already. Great to see you. Have a great day. Ciao.